All right, let's ditch the winter coats, shall we? Today we're diving headfirst into the Amalfi Coast.
Ooh, sounds nice.
Yeah, but we're not just hitting the typical tourist spots. Oh no, we're going deeper. Unearthing those hidden gems, those truly local experiences that make this place special.
Have that.
We've got our trusty Rick Steves for the classic Rex, a detailed look from Lonely Planet, and this blog that's all about finding those off-the-beaten-path treasures.
Sounds like we're well equipped.
Yeah,
All right.
for sure. So the Amalfi Coast, everyone pictures those stunning cliffs, turquoise waters.
Totally. Dream destination.
Absolutely. But it's also got a bit of a rep for being, well, a bit overrun and
Yeah.
pricey.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's that double-edged sword, isn't it? Gorgeous, but maybe a bit much.
Exactly. Even Rick Steves says it's both rewarding and frustrating. So how do we get you the rewarding part without the tourist trap frustration?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right. And that's where our blog source comes in. It's all about experiencing the Amalfi Coast authentically, affordably, without feeling like you're just one of the masses, you know?
Yeah, I get that. So are we tackling the elephant in the room first?
You mean Positano?
Exactly. Those iconic photos are everywhere.
It's a victim of its own success, almost.
Totally. But here's the thing. Lonely Planet lists 13 towns along the Amalfi Coast. Positano's just one, albeit famous one.
Right. So many options. It's like choose your own Italian adventure.
Uh-huh, I love that.
You've got Vietri sul Mare, known for its vibrant ceramics, and black sand beaches.
Black sand, now that's cool.
Right. Then there's Rado, all that cliffside luxury, but without the Positano price tag.
Ooh, that's appealing.
Definitely. And then you've got Satara, a fishing village famous for its fresh tuna, and Urchi, little haven for those in the know.
It really shows how diverse the Amalfi Coast is. It's not just one thing. It's like a whole collection of experiences.
Absolutely. Speaking of experiences, our blog writer found this amazing concept, agriturismo.
Now, that's a word I haven't heard in a while.
Basically, staying on a working farm, waking up to lemon groves, having breakfast with a view, experiencing that rural Italian life.
That's a trend I can get behind. It's that craving for authentic travel, you know?
Totally. Connecting with the land, the food, the people. And there's this specific agriturismo they rave about, Il Cavaliere dei Conti.
What's it like?
Think lemon groves, farm animals, panoramic views, and a restaurant loved by locals. They even offer lemon grove tours. You can learn about making limoncello.
That's a cool souvenir.
Right, and they have cooking classes, making pasta from scratch.
I love that. It's not just sightseeing. It's participating, learning something new.
Exactly. And even if you don't stay overnight, you can pop in for dinner or one of those experiences. It's like an insider tip elevates the whole trip.
Yeah, those are the best. Finding those hidden gems that make you feel like you've discovered something special.
Speaking of discovering, let's talk beaches.
Ah, yes, the beaches.
Now, a little reality check. We're not talking Caribbean white sand stretches here. Amalfi Coast beaches are a different breed.
Different how?
They're often small, rocky, tucked away. It adds to the charm, though. They feel more secluded, like secret coves.
Okay, I can see that.
Our blog writer found some great ones. There's Lido a Cartera, tiny local beach. You get there by this long staircase. Talk about earning your swim.
Wow, but I bet it's worth it.
Oh yeah, the water is crystal clear and the prices are down to earth. Then there's a beach near Rosa dei Venti, a bit bigger, and get this, black sand.
Black sand, that's incredible.
Right, and it's more accessible, so good for families. Then there's Lido Edelvina in Urchi, kind of a mix, rocky but spacious. And they serve that classic Amalfi lemon ice cream, but in a lemon.
That's so creative.
Right, it's all about those little touches.
I love those secret spots.
Yeah.
It's the journey to find them. The feeling of uncovering something special makes it all the more rewarding.
And speaking of journeys, we can't forget the coastal drive, the infamous Amalfi Coast Drive.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
Rick Steves calls it one of the world's great routes, but also hairy.
Hairy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not for the faint of heart. And Lonely Planet keeps it real, too. They call out the terrible traffic.
So a bit of a dilemma then. Beautiful, but potentially stressful.
Exactly. So driving gives you freedom, but those winding roads, the parking, and motion sickness is a real possibility.
Ugh, yeah, not fun.
Then there are the shuttles, buses, ferries. Less stressful, but they can be infrequent, not always on time.
So it's like choosing your adventure. Do you want the freedom of driving or the relaxation of letting someone else handle it?
It's a tough one. I guess it really depends on your travel style, how much you value flexibility versus just soaking in the views.
You got it. There's no right or wrong answer, just what works for you. But hey, either way, you're on the Amalfi Coast. That's a win in my book.
Absolutely. And on that note, we'll wrap up part one of our Amalfi Coast deep dive. We've barely scratched the surface, but we've got more hidden gems, local flavors, and even the big transportation debate to tackle. Stay tuned for part two.
Welcome back to our Amalfi Coast adventure. I feel like we're really starting to uncover what makes this place so special.
It's not just those picture-perfect views, right?
Exactly. There's this whole layer of history, culture, even legends woven into it all.
And a place that really embodies that is, well, maybe a lesser-known spot, Sorrento.
Sorrento. Okay, I'm intrigued. What's the story there?
Well, it often gets overshadowed by those more famous coastal towns, but it's got its own treasures.
Like what?
Okay, so Lonely Planet tells us Sorrento's roots go way back, like 800 BCE, way back.
Wow. So it's been around the block a few times.
A few times, haha.
Hmm.
They even mention it was a tourist haven back in Roman times. Emperor Augustus' son had a villa there.
Wow, vacationing like Roman royalty centuries ago. I love that.
Right, and get this. It houses this incredible 13th century mill.
Yeah, and get this. It's nestled in a valley that dates back 37,000 years.
37,000. That's mind-blowing. You really get a sense of those layers of history here.
It's pretty incredible. Sadly, it's privately owned right now.
Oh, that's a shame.
It is. But there's talk of restoring it into a tourist attraction, so fingers crossed.
Imagine being able to actually step back in time like that.
Right. But for now, Lonely Planet says you can get a glimpse from Via Foramira, looking down into the Valley of the Mills. Apparently, it's quite a sight.
I'll have to check it out. You know, when I think of Sorrento, those hand-painted ceramics always come to mind.
Ah, yes. Those blues, yellows, reds. So vibrant.
They're iconic. I always assumed that was a Sorrento thing.
Actually, that's more Vitry sur Mer, the last town on the southern edge of the Amalfi Coast.
So that's where it originates. I'm learning so much.
Lonely Planet explains their economy has revolved around pottery for centuries. Like since the 5th century at least. They even traded with the Etruscans.
Wow, so that tradition goes way back.
It's amazing how it's still alive and thriving today. And during the Middle Ages, Ceramica Vitry's really took off. It was sought after all over the Mediterranean.
I can see why. Those designs are beautiful.
They really are. After you've had your fill of ceramics, Lonely Planet suggests heading to the Villa Comunale for a panoramic view of Salerno and the entire Amalfi Coast.
Okay, now we're talking. A view like that.
Apparently, it's breathtaking.
It seems like every town has its own unique vantage point on the coast. I love that.
Speaking of unique, Lonely Planet highlights this amazing experience. Kayaking to Bogni Regina Giovanna near Sorrento.
Bogni Regina Giovanna, what is that?
Okay, picture this. A secluded cove tucked between this dramatic headland and a natural archway.
Okay, I'm picturing it. It sounds incredible already.
It was the favorite bathing spot of Giovanna II of Naples back in the 14th century.
Wow, a royal retreat.
I know, and now it's part of a nature reserve. Oh, and it's also got the ruins of a 1st century Roman villa.
So history, natural beauty, and a royal connection all in one place. This is going straight on my list.
You won't regret it. You can hike there, but Lonely Planet suggests renting a kayak or canoe from Sorrento's Marina Grande. Apparently, entering the cove from the sea is magical.
Kayaking through a natural archway to this hidden cove, I'm sold.
Just remember, they say there are no facilities there, so pack your own towels and snacks.
Good tip. It's easy to forget those things when you're caught up in the excitement. Speaking of excitement, Capri.
Capri, it's almost synonymous with the Amalfi Coast, isn't it?
Totally, it's like the crown jewel of the region.
Lonely Planet has a whole list of recommendations for exploring this island.
Let's hear them.
First things first, a guided boat tour around the island. The best way to see those iconic Faraglione rock formations up close.
No, so Faraglione. Those are the ones in those photos, right,
Yeah.
where the water's that crazy blue.
Exactly. It's truly a sight to behold. And legend says if you steal a kiss from your loved one if you sail through the Faraglione, it brings luck and love.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. But honestly, I'm most excited about the Blue Grotto.
The Grotto Azzurra. It's an experience like no other. It really is.
I've heard stories. Tell me everything.
Well, that magical blue water, it's created by sunlight passing through an underwater cavity. Mesmerizing. And get this, 2,000 years ago, it was Emperor Tiberius's personal swimming pool.
Emperor Tiberius knew how to live.
He did. But there's even more history. It was also an underwater temple at one point. Some of the statues are now at the museum in Capri.
Wow, so much history in one place. But is it always open? I've heard it can be closed sometimes.
That's true. It depends on the weather. So Lonely Planet's advice is to check with the staff at Marina Grande before you book your tour.
Good to know. What about exploring the rest of Capri? What does Lonely Planet recommend?
They're big fans of those unique transportation options. Instead of a bus or taxi up to Capri's Piazza, the main square, try the funicular.
A funicular, what's that?
It's this little red cable car. It takes you up from Marina Grande in just 4 minutes. Way more scenic than the bus.
Okay, I'm sold. What about Anna Capri, the other tail on the island?
For that, take the chairlift to the top of Monte Solaro.
A chairlift? That sounds a bit
It's
exposed.
a 12-minute journey, and Lonely Planet says it's actually quite relaxing.
Okay, I think I could handle that. And the views.
Panoramic views of Capri, the coastline, Sorrento. Breathtaking,
Worth it.
definitely. Just a heads up, though, the chairlift has different operating hours depending on the season, so check beforehand.
Another good tip. It seems like that's a theme here. Planning ahead is key, but also being flexible.
You got it. Flexibility is your friend when navigating the Amalfi Coast. It can be unpredictable, but always amazing.
So much to see, so much to do. We've covered so much ground already, but there's still more to discover.
I've got those hidden beaches to explore further, those local culinary delights to savor.
And of course, the big question, is it worth braving those winding roads to drive the Amalfi Coast? We'll tackle that and more in our final part. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back to our final Amalfi Coast deep dive. It feels like we've been on quite a journey.
We have. But there are still a few more treasures to uncover.
I'm ready. Let's hear it.
Well, we have those hidden beaches to explore more in depth, and some of those delicious local specialties to savor.
Ooh, yes, the food. We can't forget about that.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But first, I wanted to mention this incredible hike Lonely Planet talks about, the Walk of the Gods.
The Walk of the Gods, that sounds epic.
It is. It's this breathtaking hike from Bomarano to Positano with views that, well, they say it's like walking among the clouds.
Okay, I'm sold already. Tell me more.
So they recommend starting in Bomarano. It's known for its amazing fior di latte mozzarella.
Mozzarella. Now we're talking.
Right. Imagine fueling up on that before setting off.
Soaking in those views with a belly full of mozzarella. That's the life.
Uh-huh. Exactly. And the hike itself takes about 3 hours. It ends at this summit right above Positano called Monte Pertuso.
Monte Pertuso. That's a mouthful. What does it mean?
It means hole in the mountain. And legend has it the Virgin Mary herself created this hole.
Wow. Those local legends always add something special.
They do. And after your hike, you can reward yourself with a delicious meal and wander those charming Positano alleys.
Perfect ending to a perfect hike. You know, speaking of rewards, we have to talk about the food scene. We touched on the tuna in Sitara, the mozzarella in Bomarano, but what about Sorrento?
Ah, Sorrento. Both Lonely Planet and Rick Steves rave about the food there, especially the lemons.
The Sorrento lemons are famous.
Rick Steves says all the produce in Sorrento seems to taste better, like those lemons and their bigger cousins, the citrons. They're just bursting with flavor.
So, what are the must-try lemon treats?
Well, there's the Delizia al Limone, of course, this delicate, creamy lemon dessert.
Oh, I've heard of that. Sounds divine.
It is. And then there's Limoncello, the classic liqueur. Lonely Planet says a lot of restaurants even offer it on the house after a meal.
Now that's hospitality.
Yeah.
But what if you're not into alcohol?
They suggest a refreshing lemon granita or sorbet.
Can't go wrong with that.
It's amazing how versatile the lemon is, right?
It really speaks to that creativity in Italian cuisine.
Totally. Okay, back to beaches for a minute. We know they're not the typical long stretches of white sand, but our blog writer found some real gems.
Yeah, what stood out to you?
Well, we talked about Lido a Cartera, that tiny local spot with a long staircase. But what's even better is it's right next to this bar, Chiosco Bar Mira Giuseppina. Apparently it's a local favorite.
So you can have a swim and then head straight for a drink. Sounds perfect.
Exactly. And the prices are supposed to be good, too. And then there's that beach near Rosa de Venti with that striking black sand.
I can't get over that black sand.
It's definitely unique. And more accessible, so good for families.
Right. And we can't forget Lido Edelvina in Urci. Rocky but spacious, easy access. And of course, that lemon ice cream served in a lemon.
Oh, and Lonely Planet describes this amazing spot called the Fiordo di Furore.
The what?
The Fiordo di Furore. It's this spectacular fjord.
Wait, a fjord in Italy.
Yep, tucked between Priano and Amalfi. It's framed by olive trees and lemon groves, apparently.
That sounds incredible.
It is. They say it's a popular diving spot. It's one of the smallest beaches on the Amalfi Coast and hosts an international diving competition every July.
Okay, I'm sensing a theme here. Stunning natural beauty, unique experiences, and a sense of adventure. But the big question remains, is it worth braving those winding roads to drive the Amalfi Coast?
That's the question, isn't it? Rick Steves calls it one of the world's great routes, but also hairy.
Hairy, huh? So maybe not for everyone.
Probably not. And our blog writer definitely highlighted the challenges of those narrow, winding roads.
Yeah, motion sickness is a real concern. And then there's the traffic.
Lonely Planet says the traffic can be a nightmare, especially during peak season.
So not ideal for those who get road rage easily.
Maybe not. They suggest considering shuttles, buses, or ferries as alternatives.
Right, but we know those have their own considerations, schedules, routes, all that.
Exactly. It's a classic travel dilemma. Each option has its pros and cons.
So no easy answer then.
Not really. Comes down to your travel style. Do you prioritize freedom and flexibility? If so, driving might be worth the risk, as long as you're prepared.
But if you're more about relaxation and letting someone else handle the logistics,
Then maybe the other options are a better fit.
it's about finding what works for you.
Exactly. And no matter how you choose to experience it, the Amalfi Coast is unforgettable.
Well said. I think we've covered it all. The hidden gems, the local experiences, the food, the beaches, even the transportation debate.
We've really gone deep.
We have. I feel like I'm ready to book a ticket and experience it all firsthand now.
Me too. And hopefully our listeners feel inspired to do the same, to create their own Amalfi Coast adventure.
Because that's what it's all about, right? Discovering those hidden gems, connecting with a place.
And making memories that last.
Absolutely. So until our next deep dive, happy travels, everyone.